want to go ahead and get this video out there because it's very important right now, especially for buyers in the housing hunt in 2021. This video is ways that you could lose your house after you have it under contract if you're not paying attention and if you're not following the contract. As always, this isn't legal advice. I'm not an attorney, and this isn't real estate advice unless you and I have agreed to work together. It's 2020. It is a crazy seller's market out there, and buyers are fighting tooth and nail to get their homes under contract. Well, let's say you won. Let's say you're that winning bid. Let's say you're working with my team and we were able to help you accomplish getting the home that you desire, and you're under contract now. Well, in this video, we're going to go over in ways that if you're not paying attention as a buyer and you're not following the contract, you could be in breach. And there's a couple ways that the contract just automatically terminates. You don't have a choice. It's all up to the seller. If you're buying a home in 2021, these are some items you definitely want to pay attention to and make sure you're handling correctly when buying a home. If you don't want to lose it. If you don't want to lose it. If you want to lose it, well, these are ways that you could lose the home. The seller could say you're in breach and go with a different offer. Let's get into those 7 ways that a buyer could lose a home after getting under contract in 2021. I am over on the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission's website, public website, orec.ok.gov, right here, orec.ok.gov. I know it says something different, but that's the one that I've always used to go to it on. Woo, right there, orec.ok.gov. You're going to go over to contracts and forms right here, contracts and forms. And when you click on it, it's going to take you to this page, Oklahoma Contract and Form page. You're going to scroll down and you're going to click on residential sale, new home construction, and vacant lot and land. Residential sale, new home construction, and vacant lot and land. That one right there, okay? When you click on it, it's going to drop down this menu. So let's look first at the residential sale contract. Residential sale contract. So the very first way that you as a buyer could lose your home if you're not paying attention after you put that home under contract is on clause 2. You have 3 days to turn in that earnest money. And it says it right here. Within 3 days of execution of the contract, buyer must deliver blank as earnest money, which shall be deposited in the trust account of blank, or if left blank, the listing broker's trust account. Now, look at this sentence right here. If the buyer fails to deliver the earnest money within the time required, this is the first item you got to pay attention to as a buyer. Seller may terminate the contract or exercise seller's remedies under paragraph 15 or both by providing notice to buyer before the buyer delivers the earnest money. Huh? Did you know that? Did you know that as a buyer? You better be paying attention, because this housing market is tough. And if you're not following this contract and the seller got a backup offer, got a better offer, and they're just waiting for you to mess up to take that other offer, this is the first opportunity that you have to mess up that the seller could take advantage of. So just FYI, that's number 1. Number two on the purchase agreement. If you inspected that home and you turned in a TRR, if you turn in a treatment replacement repair form as a buyer, all the seller has to do is not sign it. And that contract's automatically terminated. So if you do your inspections and it's a bunch of honey-do lists, it's not something major that if it's not fixed you're going to back out, but it's all just minor stuff. If you turn in that TRR as a buyer, if the seller doesn't sign it, then the contract terminates automatically. That's on clause 7 Charlie 2 Bravo Indigo. Buyer and seller shall have 7 days, if left blank, after the seller's or seller's broker, if applicable, receipt of completed TRR form to negotiate the treatment, repairs, or replacement items. If a written agreement is reached, seller shall complete all agreed treatment, replacement, and repairs prior to the closing date. If a written agreement is not reached within the specified time in this provision, the contract shall terminate, and the earnest money shall be delivered to the buyer. That's number 2. Item number 2, turn in a TRR. If the seller doesn't sign it, the contract's terminated. It's terminated. So that's the second way you could lose your new home in 2021, according to the Oklahoma real estate contract. Let's look at item number 3, title issues. If seller title issues come up, seller's title issues on clause 10 echo, seller to correct issues with title, if applicable, possible closing delay. Okay, this is number 3. So if your title company that you picked as the buyer, because you get to pick as the buyer the title company in Oklahoma, you're buying the title insurance, you get to choose. But if that title company you choose turns in a title report with a condition on it that the seller doesn't want to fix, look right here, 10E1. 10E1. At seller's option and expense, seller may cure title requirements identified by buyer. At seller's option and seller's expense. So what if the seller's option is to not correct those title conditions that the buyer's title company put on the title report? I'm not an attorney. That's an iffy one. That's a gray area one. But it says at seller's option. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to. It says at seller's option. Whew, I'm not an attorney. Talk with your attorney about it. But that's number 3. 10 echo. 10 echo. Now, so those are the contract related ones. The next 1, 2, 3 numbers 4, 5, and 6 that I just counted are all kind of one. So the next 1, 2, 3, the next 3 items, come from the financing addendum. They come from the financing addendum, and this is where your lender, a buyer's lender, could void the contract, could breach the contract. Okay, not an attorney. Check with an attorney. But here comes item number 4. And I'm using the FHA addendum because the conventional addendum, the VA addendum, the USDA addendum, they all have this same clause 1 in general. They have all this same clause 1 in general. 4. Okay, so item number 4. You have 5 days as a buyer. It says it right here. 5 days as a buyer from the time reference date. So clause 5 is the time reference date. So you have 5 days from clause 5 on the purchase agreement to do steps alpha or step bravo. Step alpha or step bravo. So you want to pay attention to that. Within 5 days of the time reference date, as a buyer, you have to make application for the described loan. Now, as a buyer in today's market, you should already be pre-approved. You should already have all your tax transcripts, all your employment stubs, all your bank statements. You should already have that to a lender in today's crazy housing market. So make application and complete the application. Make application for the described loan or any other such loan buyer deems acceptable. So they're talking about like if you want a line of credit or something like that. And proceed diligently to obtain that loan. Buyer shall pay initial loan fees, including property appraisal and credit report fees at the earliest time permitted by federal regulation. Now, verify with your lender, but I believe that's 3 days. 3 days after you complete the application, you're approved. You've got 3 days to review the disclosures and then make your payments. But verify that with a lender. I'm not 100% correct on that. If you don't pay for that property appraisal, if you don't pay for those initial loan fees, if you don't pay for that credit report, does that mean you're in breach? Does it? Because it says you're supposed to. It says you're supposed to. And then the second sentence, buyer shall also instruct the lender to issue a written statement of conditional loan approval to the seller and care of the seller's broker within blank days of the time reference date. So that's a little bit more time, within the 5 days. So regarding the following, so steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 is within 10 days of the time reference date. And you've got to do these steps to stay in contract. Review and approve the buyer's credit worthiness. So if the lender doesn't do that within those 10 days, you could be in breach because of your lender. Confirm that the buyer has paid the initial processing fees. If that lender hasn't sent out confirmation, that lender could be causing you to be in breach. Order the property appraisal And then make sure the loan approval is not subject to the sale or closing of the buyer's current property unless stated otherwise in the contract. So this is number 4. If you don't do 1 alpha on number 4, you could be in breach of the contract. And if the seller's got a better offer, they have to give you notice. They have to give you notice that you haven't completed these, and then you have 4 days to hurry up and respond. So this is another gray area, but it is an area that the contract could be canceled because your lender isn't doing their job. So that's item number 4. Let's look at item number 5. Verify everything with an attorney and your real estate agent. I'm not your attorney or real estate agent. Item number 5. Appraisal requirements. Clause 4. Appraisal requirements. Let's say the property appraisal came in and your lender's appraiser, it's not your appraiser, it's the lender's appraiser. Let's say the lender's appraiser said a front porch with steps needed a handrail. Let's say they said that. The lender's appraiser, because it's not your appraiser, it's the lender's appraiser, and they're looking out for HUD. They're not looking out for you as the buyer. They're looking out for HUD. Said the front porch steps need a handrail. Is that going to cause you to lose the loan? Lose the house? Yeah, it could. Look at clause 4 with me. In the event repairs are required by the appraisal that are not otherwise mutually agreed upon, then the buyer and seller have 5 days from being so advised to agree on an acceptable arrangement regarding the cost of those repairs. If a written agreement is not reached within the specified time in this provision, this contract shall terminate and earnest money is returned to the buyer. That's an automatic termination, just like if you turn in a TRR. So if your lender's appraiser puts a condition on the loan of the home that you want to buy, and you can't get the seller to agree to that condition, and they've got a backup offer that's better than yours that makes them another $10,000, $15,000, you think they're going to agree to that appraisal condition? You think that seller's going to be like, yeah, sure, I'll put that handrail on that front step? No, they're going to take the offer. This is an automatic termination. They're going to take the other offer that's going to make them $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 more. They're not going to deal with your appraiser's condition, your lender's appraiser's condition. They're not. So that's item number 5. You want to pay attention to that. Item number 6. This is the most absurd one that comes up all the time. Item number 6. When you're dealing with a loan, and when you're dealing with the Oklahoma real estate contract, the Oklahoma real estate contract specifically says right here underneath the signature, in the event of a counteroffer to an OREC counteroffer form, seller does not sign that clause. Right there. Seller doesn't sign that clause. For some reason, 95% of all lenders, underwriters, make sellers sign that clause when it specifically says they don't have to. State contract made by the Oklahoma State Real Estate Commission says sellers don't have to sign right there if there's a counter. 96% of lenders, underwriters require signatures there. So if that seller has a better offer, they're looking for a way to get out of that contract, you think they're going to sign right there? Your lender's underwriter, if they make that a requirement and the seller refuses to do it, because it says right there, in the event of a counteroffer, on an OREC counteroffer form, seller does not sign. You think that's a way a seller could get out of it? Because your lender's underwriter is requiring a signature there when it specifically says not to? Yeah, Yeah, that could be another reason. That's a gray area one. That's a gray area one. We've gone over 3 definite ways that you as a buyer, if you're not paying attention to the contract, if you're not paying attention to the people that you've hired to help you with your loan, the people that your lenders hired to help do the appraisal, we've gone over 3 ways that are definite terminations and cancels. You as a buyer have to turn in that earnest money within 3 days. 3 days. It doesn't say business days. It says 3 days. There's a clause about if it falls on the weekend, the day, the third day shall be the next business day. There's that in the clause. But if you don't turn the earnest money, if you submit a TRR, and if there's an appraisal condition on your loan, you'll lose the house that you want to buy based off of those things, especially if the seller doesn't agree. And if that seller has a better offer that's making them $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 more on the contract, they don't have to keep working with you. The contract specifically says the contract shall be terminated. And then on the earnest money clause, it says at seller's discretion. On the TRR clause and the appraisal condition clause, it says shall be terminated. So those are things you want to look at. And this little write-up right here, it's also on the VA. It's also on the VA financing addendum. It's also on the USDA financing addendum. And it's also on the conventional loan financing addendum. That is right there. If the underwriter requires signatures right there, and the seller doesn't want to, that underwriter is going to cause you to lose your house, and that seller is going to sell it to someone else. So in 2021, as a buyer, you have to protect yourself. You have to pay attention to these contracts. You have to stay on top of the people that you've hired to help you ensure that you don't lose the home that you want to buy. It's very, very important. Sellers have a lot of control in this market, and they're paying attention to these contracts, and they're holding buyers and the buyers' contractors accountable for these contracts. These are contracts. These are legal documents. So I hope you found this super informative today. I hope it helps you out. If you're in, I hope it just brings your attention to how you have to pay attention more to these contracts, especially in a seller's market that we're in right now, if you're the buyer. All right, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. If you're moving to, relocating to, or moving within Oklahoma, a team of agents that I work with and I are here to earn your business. Contact us at the number below, and we'll be happy to set up a consultation appointment to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. Also, if you've ever thought about a career in real estate, reach out to me. I definitely want to interview you. I want to talk with you. I want to show you what eXp has to offer you and how I'm completely blown away every day by this amazing company. All right, guys, Josh Barnett, eXp Realty. I'll see you on the next clip. All right, here is take 2. I couldn't get my USB mic to work, so I'm just having to use the webcam mic, so hopefully it sounds okay. I'm going to do a quick audio check. I can hear the fan noise in the background. That is super annoying. I'm so sorry about that. I just can't get my mic to work at all, and I tried to troubleshoot it for 20-30 minutes, watched 4 different YouTube videos, and it just didn't work out, so... Ouch! Ouch, ouch, ouch. I just hit my toe. Okay, very sorry about the sound noise. I can't get my USB mic to work right now. Josh Barnett, eXp Realty. Let's get into today's video. Let me do that intro one more time. Okay, let me do that intro one more time. If you have comments, put them down below. So, I need to quit saying so and I say so and way too much. What's going on? Man, if the buyer fails